Welcome to Nimble Minds Talks of Self and Spirituality, where I talk about different philosophical perspectives as well as spiritual practice. And I also just talk about different topics that I find interesting and that I believe can bring just some different insights and make you think a little bit. So, the topic of this video is going to be the importance of isolation, or the importance of you, and you can also say it as just taking time for yourself, okay? And the reason I want to talk about this is because I actually, up until I want to say within the past year, was really on the more extroverted side. And when I say on the extroverted side, I was just more outgoing, you could say. I was always able to talk to everyone, and just if there's a group of friends, even though I've always had like a small circle of friends, and when I say friends, like I had always had a small group of people that I actually considered my friends, because I've always just had that type of definition of a friend. It was more than just somebody you can just talk to, that's anybody. But even when it came to friends, I've always just been like extroverted. Like if we're cool, I want to talk to you, we're gonna chop it up, have a good time, things like that. And then not just that, but also going out to different events, whether that be fairs, whether that be just going out to like clubs to party, or even house parties and things like that. Like I used to be into those things, and when I was doing it at the time, was I having fun? Sure, but just growing up, and not only growing up, but having the opportunities to be able to take time to myself has actually been a benefit, okay? And that's why I'm even advocating for it. That's why I'm even talking about it, is because I have been an extrovert, and I was always able to talk to a lot of people. And even now I can still talk to people, but now I'm definitely more reserved, and I prefer to just enjoy my own company for the most part. Does that mean I have an issue talking to people? No. Do I have an issue conversating? No. I can still be respectful and respect boundaries and things like that. That's still simple for me, but now it's just a preference of what I prefer to do, and that's just to enjoy my own company and take time for myself. Now, why? Nimble minds, nimble minds. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, nimble minds? Don't you want to like hang out with people? Of course, nimble minds. Then why do you prefer now, after experiencing isolation, after experiencing time where you just have yourself, do you actually prefer that, the more introverted approach over the extroverted approach? Nimble minds, just why? Great question. So when it comes to isolation, okay, and if you have a bad connotation with isolation, which I don't believe you should, but if you do, that's okay. You can just say taking time for yourself, okay? When it comes to taking time for yourself, at least in my experience, the reason it has been positive and it has been something that's beneficial is because it actually gave me an opportunity to, I'm not just gonna say find myself, because when I was extroverted, there were still things that I enjoyed doing then that I still enjoy doing now. Okay, so I still was like figuring out stuff about myself, but now that I was on the other end, which is just okay, well, you don't really have people to talk to. It's just kind of you now. What do you want to do? Like, what do you enjoy? Okay, you can't just call anybody right now. It's just you. You gotta, either you're gonna hate yourself when you're by yourself, or you're gonna love yourself. So I had to figure out which one it was. Unfortunately, I love it. So that was one of the things that it helped me figure out, just more things I'm interested in. Okay, getting more in tune with this hobbies that I like doing, like reading. Okay, if it's not reading, just music. Okay, am I the best? Of course not, but I just enjoy music. And then playing games, I really enjoy that. And just like mental work, physical work, whether that's just like doing some yoga or something in my room, like just regular stuff like that. And I was able to figure that out through spending time by myself, okay, in that period of isolation, okay. And now I actually prefer to be on that in the more introverted, isolated end, okay. I don't have any problem interacting, but it's what I prefer. Now, to keep going with more things that I have actually learned as well and got into. Once again, one of the main themes and main topics I love to discuss on this channel is the temptations, okay, when it comes to lust. That's the main one I like to focus on, lust, because that's what does get most people. Lust, that's a very strong one. But of course you have your other ones. You have gluttony, you have greed, envy, jealousy, lying, deceit, all types of stuff, right? So actually being by myself, right, spending time in isolation allowed me to actually focus on those temptations, okay? Because I'm not gonna act like growing up I didn't have like any idea of the temptations. Obviously, growing up you're not always having your ear to things your parents may say, or just things around that are beneficial for you because you're still young. You want to go out there, have fun, explore. That's part of life. That's okay. But in the times where I did have time to myself, and even now when I prefer to, be more isolated and introverted, it gives me time to actually focus on those temptations, okay? Because when I was more extroverted, it wasn't even like I'm not saying it was like a bad thing, right? You're just hanging out with your friends, and you're just hanging out with people, if even if they're not your friends, associates, or people who are around doing the same activities. So you're just not really thinking about it too much. You're kind of, if there's a drink and everybody's drinking, you want to have a drink. Everybody's smoking, maybe you have a smoke, okay? Maybe if everybody's gossiping, you gossiping, and you just engage in it because that's what you're around, okay? At the end of the day, sometimes that is the situation. You're a product of your environment. So if you're always surrounded by people that are engaged in these temptations, okay, in these desires of just being a person, of a human being, then naturally you're gonna pick up on that. That's nature. That is just life, okay. So when I had time to myself, where periods of isolation, just being more introverted and just enjoying my own company, really, okay, getting closer to spirit and soul, really, I was able to focus more on those temptations, and it made me realize, like, wow, like this actually is a challenge. This is something that is not the easiest thing, at least for me, right? To be able to have a type of handle over, a type of control over. And the main thing for me is lust, okay? But there were other things, right? And I don't partake now, right? But there's still other things like drinking, smoking, like when I was into it, I was just, and if my advice to anyone who is partaking in the drinking and the smoking and things like that, I would say personally, some people may not agree with this. I would say enjoy it while you're still bliss. You still have that kind of bliss idea, okay? Because that's what I did. And that's why I do believe that it helped me to be able to actually focus when it became time, and I did gain more knowledge and more understanding of the temptations and the detriments they can have. Is because at the time when I was drinking, okay, like often smoking all the time and whatever else, I actually was having a good time. I was enjoying it. I had a good mindset for the most part when I was doing those things. I wasn't trying to take anyone's girl, I wasn't trying to fight anyone. I was just actually just enjoying that with maybe watching a show, music, things like that, okay? So if you are somebody that's still, at that point in your life, okay, obviously I would encourage you to eventually get to the point where you have control of your temptations, and you can say no to the drink, you can say no to the blunt, you can say no to the lust, and you can say no to stuff that's going to stunt your growth, okay? But there's people, the honest reality is most people do struggle with these things, and if you're at that point, I would just say try not to beat yourself up too much, okay? Because sometimes the stress of a situation can cause people a lot more problems than the actual situation itself. I'm going to say that again. A lot of times the stress of a situation can cause more problems for an individual more so than the situation itself. So if you're a person who's doing those things, I'm not going to be the person that wants to make you feel guilty. Okay, but I am going to tell you that there are benefits to having control. There are benefits to being able to have a vice on your vices. Okay, there are benefits to that. Okay, to being able to say no to the drink. Okay, to put down the drink, put down the blunt, put down the plate, push the plate away, eat a salad. Okay, say no to lust, things like that. Okay, that are going to subtract from their plus. There are benefits. Okay, once again, I'm not going to make you feel guilty, but I'm going to tell you the truth that there are benefits, and it does get to a point where you need to have some self-awareness and some self-control over those vices. So with that being said, now let me actually get into how it allowed me to focus, because that was me when I was engaging in the temptation, when I was drinking often, when I was smoking and doing all those things, engaging in lust, which I'm currently not doing right now, okay? And, I've been fortunate enough to still be consistent, and I'm going to continue to be consistent, especially for the spirit, for the soul, and for God. So I'm going to continue to do that, okay? And that's just a personal choice for me. And that's what has given me the strength to do that. So when it comes to where I am currently at now, which is staying true to resisting the temptation, staying true to resisting those urges, okay? Now I don't have room to, give myself those excuses anymore, because there was a time where I was more bliss about it, and I was just having a good time, just being young, enjoying myself. So, I was able to actually enjoy it. But now, since I have a certain knowledge and just certain things, I have to be more careful, and I can't just lie to myself anymore like, oh, I'm bliss. No, you're not. You know what's going on. So at this point, now it's a little bit, I can focus a little bit better because I understand that. And it's like, okay, why do I want to have this drink right now? Do I really need it? No. Why do I want to have the smoke right now? Do I really need it? No. So no. And then most importantly, the biggest thing, lust. Do I need to lust right now? Do I need to spill my vital life force? Okay. Do I need to spill my life force? No, I don't. Okay. No, I don't need to spill my life force. Okay. It's not worth it. Okay. To spill your life force unnecessarily. So that's the thing, that being in isolation, being more introverted and having time for myself has actually allowed me to do, is actually allowed me to focus on these temptations, and not only focus on them, but to actually make progress and to not engage in it. Okay, I'm a person that says try, give your best, always try, because I'm a person that always tries. But it finally got to a point where I was no longer just trying with these temptations. Okay, I was now doing. Okay, I am now in the process currently resisting these temptations, not giving into these temptations, drinking, smoking, lying, deceit, gluttony, jealousy, envy, all that stuff. Okay, lust especially, like I'm not doing that stuff anymore. Okay, so obviously there's going to be times where it does get difficult, especially the urge. Okay, and the urge, I associate that with the temptations, but mainly lust. There's going to be times where you get the urge and you're going to have to say no. There's going to be times where you get the urge and you're going to have to purge whatever is giving you that urge. Okay, there's going to be times where you get the urge and you're going to have to purge whatever's giving you that urge. Okay, whatever's giving you that sensation where that maybe you're watching a YouTube video, okay, and you get an ad. You're going to have to understand, okay, we got to hurry up and get past this ad because I don't know what they're talking about. I'm watching a video that has to do with a game. I'm watching a video that has to do with, current topics and, maybe things going on in the world. I'm watching a video that has things to do with, retaining your seed and not giving into temptations and things like that. So when you're doing those things, it gets to a point where you have to understand, hey, you have to have some self-control over what's going on. And that's what isolation, that's what that period of solitude has allowed for me. And that's why I do appreciate it now. I have a new love and appreciation for it, because now I have a goal, I have a mission, I have something I'm actually focused on, not giving into these temptations and not giving into these urges, because they're very powerful. Okay, the lust is out there. Once again, women look good. I'm going to be the first to tell you, women look good. It is what it is. But you can't give into that urge all the time. Okay, it gets to a point where you have to look at yourself in the mirror and you have to go like, okay, am I going to keep losing? Am I going to keep being weak to these temptations or no? Okay, and hey, let's be real here. Some people, the temptations got them in a chokehold. Some people, the lust, the urge got them in a chokehold. Let's be real here. Some people, that urge, some people out here struggling. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, where do you want to be? Okay, where side do you want to be on? Okay, it gets to a point where you got to make that choice. Okay, you got to make that decision. Are you going to be a person who's constantly giving into your temptations, that's constantly giving into your urges and the desires of being human and just being a person? Okay, are you going to be a person that's constantly giving into your temptations, constantly giving into your urges, the desires and temptations of just being a person? Or are you going to be a person that's like, you know what, I have self-control, okay? I have discipline, okay? I have ding-a-ling discipline, okay? I'm not going to be out here slinging willy all willy-nilly, okay? Once again, I'm not going to be out here slinging willy all willy-nilly, okay? Because you have discipline, okay? You're going to be able to recognize a situation like, hey, they want to have a get together. That's cool. But there's going to be women there. I don't know. Now the urges are there, okay? And let's be real here. If there's women in a function, okay, if there's going to be women around, let's be honest here. What's going to go down? If there's going to be women around, let's be honest here. What's going to go down? I'm going to say that again. If there's women around, let's be honest here. What's going to go down? And you guys might be like, nimble minds. Get your head out the gutter. You're absolutely right. But let me just explain before you say that, okay? When you're at a gathering and there's women around, okay, naturally, right, somebody's going to be interested in somebody. That's where the urges start to come into play, okay? And then people are going to start to act accordingly, and then people are going to start acting in accordance to their desires and their temptation rather than thinking logically, okay? Rather than actually thinking like, okay, you know what, this is an event. These are some nice looking women, but what is the goal here? What's the goal here? Do I really want to have children right now? If the answer is no, then okay, that's a big one, okay? What's the next question? Do you just want to sleep around? My advice would be like, don't sleep around my son. Don't sleep around my son. Don't sleep around my child. Don't do that, please. Don't sleep around, okay? It's not worth it. But some people are going to do that, okay? Some people are going to sleep around and give into the desires, the temptations of being a person, of being a human, okay? And being the desires and temptations of, the flesh, okay, as people say. And you have to have the wherewithal. You have to have the self-awareness to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And once again, that's why I do advocate for, periods of isolation, especially for people that have already been extroverted. Maybe you're still extroverted, okay? Maybe you still hang out with a lot of friends and a lot of people, still have them as friends. I'm not saying cut everybody off, okay? But at the end of the day, take time for yourself. Because the things I was just talking about is stuff I was able to realize in these times of isolation, in these periods where I just had time to myself and I had to make a decision of whether or not I was going to, actually just keep giving into the temptation, drinking all the time, smoking all the time, lying all the time, being deceitful all the time, gluttony all the time, being jealous all the time, envious all the time, gossiping all the time, and just lying about stuff that doesn't need to be lied about? Or was I going to be a person and giving into lust? Or was I going to be a person who was like, you know what? YOLO, okay? Some people have FOMO, right? And they're YOLO. Some people have the fear of missing out, so they're like, yo, you only live once, and I'm afraid of missing out. Some people got the FOMO YOLO, you know what I'm saying? Look, I'm afraid of missing out, and then I only live once, so like I definitely have to be there, okay? But me personally, no, okay? Hey, you may only live once, okay? You may only get so many chances, but at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a decision that I'm going to resist these urges, okay? I'm not going to use YOLO as an excuse to be Bobo, okay? I'm not going to use YOLO as an excuse to be have no self-control. I'm not going to use YOLO as an excuse to be mischievous. I'm not going to use YOLO as an excuse to give into desires. I'm not going to use YOLO as an excuse to give into temptations. I'm not going to use YOLO as an excuse to have no self-control and to be out here just doing God knows, okay? I decided the opposite. I'm going to use YOLO as an opportunity to what? Improve. I'm going to use YOLO as what? An opportunity to resist temptations. I'm going to use you only live once as an opportunity to what? Not give into lust. I'm going to use YOLO as what? An opportunity to not give into lust. That's what I decided, okay? Because at the end of the day, especially the world we live in with the things on social media, it's very easy to just give yourself all the excuses in the world to do the things that do not fulfill you, that are not fruitful, that do not fulfill your spirit and the soul, okay, that are not living in accordance. It's very easy to give yourself an excuse to why you should have that drink. It's very easy to give yourself an excuse as to why you should have this smoke. It's very easy to give yourself an excuse as to why you should be lying. It's very easy to give yourself an excuse to why you should be gossiping. It's very easy to give yourself an excuse as to why you should get these extra plates of this fast food, okay? And it's very easy to give yourself an excuse as to why you should be giving into lust. It's very easy to give yourself an excuse as to why you should be subtracting for your plus. It's very easy to give yourself an excuse to why you should be doing all these things that give into temptation. And it's very hard for some people to give themselves an excuse to do the right thing. I'm gonna say that again. It's very hard for some people to give themselves an excuse to do the right thing. It's very hard for some people to give themselves an excuse to actually live in accordance, okay? And that's what I decided to do. I decided to do the hard thing. And the hard thing is to look yourself in the mirror and go like, you know what? I have to change a couple of things, okay? There's a couple of things I need to change. And a lot of those things have to do with giving into temptation, okay? A lot of those things have to do with giving into lust. That's going to subtract from your plus. A lot of things have to do with the temptations. A lot of things have to do with giving into your lust. That's going to subtract from your plus, okay? Don't give into your lust and don't subtract from your plus, okay? That's my advice to you. Nimble minds. Do you have any advice? Of course I have advice for you. Stop doing things that give into your lust that subtract for your plus. I'm going to say it again. Nimble minds, do you have any advice? Of course I have advice for you. Stop doing things that are giving into your lust that are subtracting for your plus. Because look, at the end of the day, it's very easy to say, you know what? It's okay. I can go do this today. And then it's a domino effect. It's a domino effect. You had that drink one day. You were hanging out with this woman one day. Now she hit you back up. Now you're doing it again. Like it's on replay. I'm going to say it again. It's very easy to get back in that cycle, get back in that loop, okay? You have that drink one day. You're hanging out with this woman one day. Then she hit you back up and it's like you in a loop. Now it's on replay, okay? I'm going to say it one more time, okay? It's very easy to get back into the cycle, to get back into the loop. Now you have that drink one day. You're hanging out with this woman one day. Then she hit you back up and you back in the loop like it's on replay, okay? Look, you can't be the person out here that's giving into your desires, that's giving into your temptations all the time. Maybe if you want to be that person, okay, go be that person, okay? If you want to be the person that's weak and you want to be the person that's giving into your desires, your temptations, and having that drink and having that smoke and lying and to being jealous and envious and to being gossipy and giving into your lust, and you can go do that, okay? You can go do that, okay? Because at the end of the day, this is not the popular thing. And I already told you guys that whoever's watching, whoever's listening to my other videos, I already told you, look, at the end of the day, we turn the unpopular to the popular. We turn the unpopular and we make it popular over here. We turn the unpopular and we make it popular. What's the unpopular thing? The unpopular thing is to look in the mirror and say, there's a couple things I have to change, okay? The unpopular thing is to go like, you know what? I'm going to put the blunt down. You know what? I'm going to put the drink down. You know what? I'm going to stop lying. You know what? I'm going to stop gossiping. You know what? I'm going to stop spying. You know what? I'm going to not give into my lust. Most people can't do that. That's the popular thing right now. That's popular right now for me. I don't care. That's popular right now for me. I'm not gonna give into my lust, okay? I'm not about to be out here giving into all the drinks and the smoke that make you do something that's disgusting, okay? I'm not giving into that, okay? That's the popular thing for me, okay? And if anybody wants to call it unpopular, call me a loser, please do it. Please, because at the end of the day, I understand that these things are actually serious, okay? These things can actually bring you benefits in your life when you actually have a certain control over your vice. Once again, these things can bring you benefits in your life when you start to have certain controls over your vices, okay? These things can bring you benefits in your life when you start to have a control over your vice, okay? So at the end of the day, you have to decide where you want to be at. At the end of the day, there's going to come a time where you have to decide where you want to play. And you're going to be playing on the side where, you know what? It's not worth it. I can't be given into these vices forever. There has to come a time where I have some self-control, okay, and I have to be better. Once again, I can't give into these vices forever. There comes a time where I have to have some self-control and I have to be better. Once again, I cannot give into these vices forever. There comes a time where I need to have self-control and I have to be better. I'm going to say it one more time. There comes a time where I can't give into these vices forever. Eventually, I'm going to have to overcome the vices and be better, okay? Look, there's people out there that struggle with this, okay? I'm no one special. I'm no one special. I'm just like everybody else. Nimble Minds, what do you mean you're just like everybody else? Don't even ever ask me that again, because you're trying to put me on a pedestal. At the end of the day, I'm just like everybody else. What does that mean? It means the temptations come after me just like everybody else. I think about having a drink just like everybody else. I think about going to the store and picking up a little smoke and having a smoke like everybody else. I think about lusting, okay, after a woman and, you know, watching the corn sites and doing that like everybody else. Okay, that's what I mean when I'm not special. It comes after everybody. The only difference is the choice. The only difference is the decision. Okay, the only difference is the voice. Okay, the only difference is the choice. Okay, the only difference is the voice. The only difference is the decision. The only difference is the choice. The only difference is the voice. Some people, I know people know what I'm talking about. When you got the angel on one shoulder, the devil on one shoulder. That's what I'm talking about. You got the angel on one shoulder, you got the devil on one shoulder. That's what I'm talking about. You got temptations on one shoulder, and you got the righteous on one shoulder. You got the temptations on one shoulder, and you got the do the right thing on one shoulder. You got the vices on one shoulder, and you got the hey, don't do that on the other shoulder. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Why? When I say the difference is just a decision. The difference is literally, are you listening to the angel on your shoulder? Or are you listening to the devil on your shoulder? Okay, because at the end of the day, there's a battle going on all the time and people ain't even aware of it. There's a battle going on all the time and people ain't even aware of it, okay? Look, some people got that devil on their shoulder. The devil's like, listen, I don't know what he's talking about. Hey, hear me out. This is what the devil be saying. And people be listening to it because the devil got a slick tongue. People be listening to it, right? The devil be on somebody's shoulder, be like, look, I don't even know what this guy's talking about. He's a lame. He's a goofy. We're going to have this drink. We're going to have this smoke, and we're about to turn up right now. We're going to have this drink. We're going to have this smoke. And you see that girl over there? We're going to also give her the drink and give her the smoke so she can vibe with us. And then we're going to have the vibe together, and that's like vibe times 2. And then we're just going to have to do what we do, okay? That's what the devil be saying, and people be falling for it all the time. That's what the devil be saying, and people be falling for it all the time. The devil be saying, we're going to have this drink. We're going to have this smoke, okay? And we're not going to worry about anything else right now. We're just going to live in the moment, YOLO, okay? Because FOMO, and this is what we're about to do. And people be listening to it. Meanwhile, you got the angel on your shoulder. What's the angel saying, Nimble Minds? There's no way the devil's the only one talking. Well, guess what? If you can hear the devil, you can also hear God. So let me tell you what the angel's saying as well. The angel be on people's shoulder like, wait, hold on a minute. Don't you have goals? Don't you have things you're focused on? Wait, hold on. I hear what he's saying over there. He is saying have the drink. But you know when you have that drink, you don't think, right? You know when you have that smoke, you stop having control of your faculties, right? And this girl over here, she was just talking to that guy. And also, I saw her talking to that. Hey, I don't think you should be talking to her. I don't think this is a good situation. Meanwhile, you got the devil on your shoulder jumping up and down talking about some, hey, it's litty, hey, give me the drink, hey. Meanwhile, you got the devil, hey. And then the angel the whole time is trying to talk to you like, look, I'm not saying never have a drink, never smoke, but at the end of the day, we have a goal, okay? We have stuff we're trying to focus on. And do you want to throw it all away for one moment, for one night, for one sensation, for one temptation? Do you want to throw it away for one night, for one sensation, for one temptation? For this, is this what you want to do? Meanwhile, the devil on your shoulder talking about some, hey, let's go sleep with this girl. Do you hear me? Let's go sleep with this girl. You hear me? A condom. What's that? I'm Warner. What are you talking about? We don't need that. We don't need that. Don't worry. We can just listen. That's how it be. That's how it is, okay? Meanwhile, the angel the whole time is trying to talk to you. Meanwhile, the angel the whole time is like, listen, dude, you need to not sleep with her because she was just messing with him, and him. On top of that, you already had a drink, had a smoke. We don't know where we even at right now. We don't know what her reaction's going to be after the fact. We don't know if she's seeing someone. She could be lying. The angel's trying to tell you, look, we have a goal. We're trying to be focused right now. Like, just don't do it. Not yet. The angel's trying to tell you, not yet. The angel's trying to talk to you like, not yet. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just be patient, okay? Give it some time, okay? And you'll have a time where you can enjoy your little drink, you can enjoy your little smoke, okay? And then maybe if you actually give it some thought, then you have that woman with you, okay? If that's really what you want. But don't rush it. The angel's trying to tell you, don't rush it. Take your time, okay? Take your time and you will shine. Take your time and you will shine. The angel's trying to tell you, take your time and you will shine. Meanwhile, the devil's the instant gratification. Just do it now. Have the drink now. Have the smoke now. Lust right now. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, okay? So think about that. Whoever's watching, whoever's listening, think about that, okay? Think about that. Whenever you get that thought in your head, just the thought in your head, let me have this drink, okay? Maybe wait, okay? Maybe take a break, okay? Nobody is saying put it down forever, okay? But take a break, okay? Have some control, have some self-control, okay? Okay, take a break. Okay, don't always give into that temptation that's trying to get you to have no self-control, that's trying to get you to fold. Okay, give that do the right thing that's on your shoulder a listen. Okay, give that do the right thing on your shoulder a listen. Okay, there's someone trying to talk to you. Okay, there's someone trying to talk to you. Okay, and they're just trying to let you know that, hey, this is not always the best decision. Okay, I know it's fun, I know you're having a great time, but at the end of the day, if you just take your time, you will shine. If you take your time, you will shine. So once again, everything that I just spoke about, me being more introverted and taking time for myself, allowed me to really dive deeper into those thoughts. And then also while reading different books, I can see how this, type of conversation, because not just a battle, but this type of discourse plays out. Because it is a discourse at the end of the day. It is a discourse as well, not just a battle and people throwing hands all the time. It is also a discourse. Sometimes it's a very civil discourse. Sometimes that temptation comes out like, hey, see that drink? Let's do it. And then the good voice is like, hey, there's no reason to have this drink right now. Let's focus. You have other things that you could be doing and other hobbies you could be enjoying. You don't have to have a drink right now. And then the voice comes back, the temptation, hey, see that blunt over there? That's a good day. And then that do the right thing voice comes back. That do the right thing is trying to tell you, hey, actually, you don't really need the blunt right now. You just smoked, okay, the other day anyway. So just take a break, man, and stay focused on the things and the goals that you have that you can improve in your daily life to help you improve yourself mentally and physically. Sometimes it's as simple as that, okay? So you have to decide where you want to be at the end of the day. Because once again, gotta tell you the truth. And the truth is, the information's out there. It gets to a point where people have the basic things they need to know. Not saying everybody knows everything and not know, but people have the basic things they need to know to understand right from wrong, to understand when they're giving into their temptations and when they're not. Okay? So the hard truth is that most people, and let me not say most, but a lot of people, they don't care. A lot of people just would rather, give into their temptations, give into their lust. And hey, I'm not one to judge. I am not one to judge. I've been there. So at the end of the day, it's understandable there's going to be a lot of people who just, this is not for them. There's a lot of people that they cannot handle that pressure of not giving into their temptations. Some people can't do it. That's okay. But there's people out there that can, and there's people out there that are willing, okay? And for the people out there that can, and for the people out there that are willing, understand there are benefits, okay? It may take a little bit of time, but once you get going, you start to see, oh my, wait a minute. Okay, let me keep having this self-control over these vices. Let me not give into this lust. Okay, let me not give into this lust, which is going to subtract from my plus, okay? Anyway, with that being said, I hope you could take something, anyone, whoever's watching, whoever's listening, could take something from this video and apply it to your life in a positive way that results in some positive changes and results in some positive outcomes, okay? I really do. With that being said, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.